ability to understand in a given situation varies from person to person. For some person, just by telling you will understand, nothing is required. For some person, he has to go through a series of actions or karma before he is mature enough to understand. But finally, the maturity or wisdom comes from understanding. Mechanical actions will not lead to wisdom.
Understanding is coming under the intellect.
Correct. But that may be preceded by action, lot of action for some person. A person who is ripe or ready may not need any action to be performed before he can get the wisdom. So that's why what they say, Jananige Matina Pettu, Konani Donne Pettu. The buffalo requires a beating, whereas an intelligent person understands through your words. So what happens is that in the evolution, people are at different levels. Some people require a lot of work and action before they can ripe to receive wisdom. Whereas there are people who are already ready or are ripe, so they can receive wisdom directly. Wisdom comes through jnana, not through action. But action helps in ripening the person. So if your answer is, question is karma required for jnana? Yes, for some people. For those people who are ripe enough, karma is not required, jnana can be acquired because the maturity is already attained. Is the answer clear? Yes, sir.
What I'm saying is wisdom comes to understanding. Understanding is the intellect. Finally, the intellect is very much needed. But with intellect, action. Person who just keeps on accumulating knowledge might sharpen the intellect, but he will not have experiential understanding.
No, we are not speaking of this is the knowledge. So he is saying that the person who keeps on accumulating knowledge may not have experiential wisdom, may not get the wisdom. Because he will accumulate, he will become like a garbage computer or a computer. Computer has a lot of information but no wisdom. Right? We are not speaking of that kind of wisdom here. Okay? So that is a different kind of wisdom. Somebody who has a lot of accumulated lot of knowledge. But I mean, let us take the case of a medical graduate. Okay? By the time he completes 5.5 years of medicine, he would have read tons and tons of books of medicine, from Gray's Anatomy to so many all books. He has knowledge, but until he starts treating the patient, he will not have the wisdom of medicine. Correct? The knowledge has to be applied before he qualifies for a wisdom. So this is one kind of knowledge about the world. Now the knowledge which I am speaking of, or wisdom which I am speaking of, is the wisdom of the self. Okay? Wisdom of the self doesn't come through action. There's no way you can apply it. Wisdom of the self comes through understanding who really you are. There's no action which can lead you to help you to realize who you are. So only the words of the master, the words of the realized saint, words of the guru, which will make you open up to the wisdom. That's not an action. But not many people are qualified for that. That's why for them, the path of karma, the path of bhakti, path of kriya yoga is prescribed, because the mind has to be mature enough to receive. Here, this particular knowledge of the self, wisdom, comes from the direct knowledge. It is not by application of the knowledge.
Self-awareness.
Self-awareness. There is no application there. Okay, but that maturity to come, you would have qualified through action, karma yoga or bhakti yoga. Okay, I am speaking of that kind of wisdom. The wisdom is, let's say, wisdom of medicine. You have to by doing something will come. Wisdom of let's say flying aircraft will come applying and working. Whereas the wisdom of the self doesn't come through doing something.
Self-awareness comes before mind. Or the mind is required for
Mind is required for self-awareness. Okay. So the wisdom of the self is not because you did something. Okay? For any other subject, you have to do something to get the wisdom. Whereas wisdom of the self, Atma Dhyana, is a direct result of teaching.
And introspection.
Direct result of teaching. Teaching which leads to introspection. Okay? It's not an action in the practical sense. But a person has to ripe through action, through karma yoga, bhakti yoga, before he can qualify this. So if your question is, action is required for wisdom, yes and no. For a qualified person, who is mature person, not required. For a person who is not mature, this action is required.
Is self-inquiry important? Is not enough for somebody to do. Self-inquiry is not enough.
See, is self-inquiry not enough for somebody? Okay? See, the people are of different kinds. Okay? Not everybody is alike. Okay? There is a different quality. The question is self-inquiry sufficient for enlightenment or mukti? The people are of different composition. Not everybody, we are not like machines. If you do something for one person, other person will be like that. It's not like that. Human beings have different inborn nature. Okay? So in general, right, I'll say, the human being is made up of head, heart, hands and energy. The four elements of a human being. Head, heart, hands and energy. Head is intellect, heart is emotion, hands is action, energy is the bodily energy in terms of prana. So, different people will like one of these approaches or a combination of these approaches for realization. A person hands oriented will do some action, karma yoga. Somebody who is emotion oriented may do some bhakti yoga. Somebody is action oriented may also do kriya yoga, which involves listening. Somebody is intellect oriented, head oriented may study some scriptures and do analysis. But these, please understand, all these four yogas are only for purification purpose. Please understand the necessity of yoga. When I say karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, kriya yoga or kriya yoga, they are purification, chitta shuddhi. The inner purification happens. But then finally there are only two paths for a human being, whichever he goes. One is called path of Sharanagati, surrender, and path of self-inquiry. Self-inquiry and surrender are two paths. They are basic paths. These are all variations. Okay? So when the person comes in bhakti yoga or karma yoga, when he surrenders totally, then he will get mukti. Okay? Whereas person who coming out of jnana yoga, through self-inquiry, he gets mukti. So Jnana yoga, bhakti yoga, kriya yoga, karma yoga will purify you. In the path of karma yoga and bhakti yoga, surrender will liberate you. In the path of jnana yoga, self-inquiry will liberate you.
Self-inquiry also will lead to Sharanagati, acceptance of the whole thing.
There's a difference. There is a difference.
The self-inquiry will bring him to the situation to drop his ego.
No, the thing is, it's a dropping of the ego. The process is slightly different. Okay? Eventually the mukti is same in both the cases. Either through Sharanagati or self-inquiry, the liberation will happen. But the process is very different. Okay. Sri Ramana Maharshi says there are only two basic paths. Path of self-inquiry or path of surrender. Surrender is the path of our bhakti and kriya yoga and karma yoga. Self-inquiry is the path of jnana yoga. Okay, jnana yoga means somebody might have read some 100 scriptures. Ultimately he has to come to self-inquiry. Purification. So everything, all practices what you do in yoga, karma yoga, bhakti yoga, kriya yoga, jnana yoga will lead to inner purification. Sharanagati will lead to liberation. Self-inquiry will lead to liberation. Mukti. Any questions?
Sharanagati consciousness nature.
So the question is surrender, if you can consciously surrender or nature will make you surrender. Nature has been taking care of you. Alright? Nature is driving you towards more and more awareness and probably surrender. Nature is a mechanical evolution which has been happening for millions of years. You have been a bacteria, you have been an amoeba, you have been a fish, you have been you have gone through lives of animal life form, you have gone through human life form, many life forms. Please understand, in all these life forms, the evolution is not conscious. Evolution is mechanical. Only at the stage of a human being level, the first time in nature, okay, the nature itself gives a window of opportunity for conscious evolution. A mechanical evolution is eventually it will happen, but takes a long time. The conscious evolution is a jump which can happen. That window of opportunity is available only at the human being level. So you want to take a slow ride or you want to take a jump. The jump is conscious evolution. Slow ride is mechanical evolution which happens through nature. Any questions?
So why are we so purely, why are we so distracted? Why when we go down the roads, it's so, do we see any, so are human beings living very mechanical life?
They are.
They're going a slow process.
Everybody, why is so full of materials? I'm not against materials, I'm saying
See,
the overexplosion of cars, vehicles, everything, chaos of the roads.
The world itself, why there's so much of mechanical living in the world? The nature is composed of Sattva Guna, Rajo Guna, Tamo Guna. It's a basic composition of the nature. Okay? At any point, this is these three modes of nature are there in living beings, animals, everywhere. So at certain seasons of human life, human beings also go through a season, or living beings to go through a season. Like right now, you have a season, right? In a rainy season is there, summer is there, winter is there. In a rainy season, all plants will sprout and mangoes will come out. So similarly, living beings like human beings also go through season. Not in your lifetime, but a season lasting millions of thousands of years. These are called Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Satya Yuga, Treta, Dwapara, Kali Yuga. What happens is in each of these yugas, one of the gunas will be predominant. The three natures of material nature, Sattva Guna, Rajo Guna, Tamo Guna. In Satya Yuga, Sattva Guna is predominant. In Kali Yuga, Tamo Guna is predominant. So what happens is, based on this nature, the behavior what you see outside will change. Alright? And this is a seasonal change. After that, again Satya Yuga will come. But that doesn't matter to you. What matters to you, which yuga you live in. You may be all around, Kali Yuga may be there, but you may be in Satya Yuga. Your inner nature is what matters. What outer nature doesn't matter, because it is seasonal. So the question is, are you evolving consciously, or are we going to mechanical flow?
Give an example today. I was driving the bike, and whenever I am happy, I remember one of our earlier sessions, how today the ego consciousness is very dominant.
Yes.
Ego conscious people are a burden on earth. And balance ego is very much necessary, and as you said, ego is necessary to live in the world. Over ego or under ego again, not good enough.
Correct.
So even when you are in heavy traffic, you can have to be calm and traffic or whatever, by not reacting, by just being in the stream and not causing pain to others by actually honking,
Right.
overtaking wildly and all that. So today I am just on my own path, and suddenly another bike comes very violently and almost hits me. My whole being was very shaken. It was very violent. It was almost like you were eating and I would fall.
Right.
So I went and changed it and eating made on the bike. And I was going home for the next 2 weeks eating for that.
Yeah.
And reaction came very powerfully.
Right.
At that time, consciousness, there was no gap for consciousness, being conscious.
That's where Tamo Guna became predominant at that moment. The Sattva Guna got covered. Rajo Guna activated. Sattva Guna went to dormant state.
These kind of incidents come to you in daily life.
Yes.
Not more these days. How can you, the chance of breaking and reacting is very strong.
So I'll give the answer the other way. So he says in the vehicle in Bangalore's traffic, so much of chaos is there. He might almost made with an accident because somebody else was hitting his bike. So he got angry and he shouted or hit him. So this kind of situation happens every day in life. Okay, I'll say it's everyday opportunity for you. Moment to moment, it's an opportunity for you to see how much of dust is still there. So it's why already please understand, there are 4 seasons of human life, human's existence. Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga. Okay? Satya Yuga is the Sattva or truth is predominant. Treta means 3/4. Dwapara means 50%. Kali Yuga means darkness. Okay? Understand? So it's like ignorance is predominant in Kali Yuga and wisdom is predominant in Satya Yuga. But enlightenment is very slow in Satya Yuga. Mukti is slow in Satya Yuga. And in Kali Yuga, it's 2 minutes fast.
Pressure is so much.
Liberation is fast. What will happen is Satya Yuga, the pressure for survival, pressure for life is very less. The motivation to achieve higher consciousness or get liberated is also very low. Life conditions are good. Whereas in Kali Yuga, the temperature and pressure varies day to day. And high pressure, high temperature. Huh? We are moving towards Dwapara. The question is, are we in Kali Yuga? I am saying we are moving towards Dwapara Yuga. I'll tell you why. Okay. So what happens is that even a lady, your housewife, knows for cooking something how much temperature and pressure has to be applied, right? Don't you think that existence knows how much temperature and pressure has to be applied for you to cook, you to evolve? So you are in the right kind of environment for your evolution. Right amount of temperature and pressure is there. So what you get an opportunity on day-to-day bike riding is probably an opportunity for enlightenment also. Same thing.
Things are perfect for you.
You are exactly in a perfect environment, perfect condition, perfect right point of time.
Every moment it is giving an opportunity.
Every moment is an opportunity for liberation. That's why it is said in Kali Yuga is the greatest possibility is that liberation or enlightenment is quickest compared to all the other yugas. That's the greatness of Kali Yuga. The temperature and pressure is very high. The cooking can happen very rapidly. Okay? And liberation also can happen very rapidly. So this is one. Or some other question somebody asked. What is it? Are we in a Kali Yuga or are we in different yuga? Okay? So if you look at let us say last probably after Sri Krishna's departure, the worldwide, okay, so let's say so-called up to 18th century or 16th, probably 16th century, up to 16th century, it's a dark ages for the human life. Okay, so many wars, so much of brutality, very less respect for human life, degradation of women, right, destruction of learning, all those things happened subsequent to the Mahabharata time frame, which is Mahabharata happened 5023 years back, roughly about 5050 years back. So at the time of Mahabharata, there's a great amount of wisdom in the society. Even that is called at that time called Dwapara, around 50%. Human consciousness evolution was 50%, not 100%. Satyuga is 100%. That must have been few thousand years ago. Treta means 3/4. Dwapara means 50%. Kali Yuga means darkness. So immediately after Mahabharata war, in India, quite some time there was stability and peace. After that, we start going into dark ages. So much of disrespect for human life, so much of degradation, torture, everything happened in that century. In the centuries preceding, let's say, about, I would say that up to 18th century or 17th century. Then, after that, subsequently, there's a greater awakening in human consciousness. The scientific discoveries, the understanding of quantum nature of matter, these discoveries in science, technologies, okay, and probably psychiatry, have brought more and more understanding of human being, rather than human being treated as a body-mind complex. Now we understand human being has psyche, he has an intellect. He is much more than an ordinary body. So general awareness about human being is more. Whereas there was a point in the history of time where human being was nothing but a body to be available for slavery. Right? So that has gone. And there is, if you look at the world as such today, there are many countries, there is greater and greater cry for freedom. There is a greater and greater cry for individual freedom. There is a greater and greater degree of communication. There is a greater and greater degree of respect for women. There is a greater respect for human rights. So I would say that this is a sign of gradually coming out of a dark ages. So that's why I am saying we have started moving out of the dark ages and we have started moving into Dwapara Yuga. We are not fully evolved stage. We have started moving. It's sort of a period, intermediate period. Now the people have a very wrong in understanding of this Yuga concept. They say Kali Yuga, Satya, Treta, Dwapara, Kali Yuga. It goes like this. Okay? And again after Kali Yuga, it comes Satya Yuga. Actually they have a cyclic concept of Yuga. I don't subscribe to that. I would say it's a pendulum. Okay? Kali Yuga, Treta, Dwapara, Satya. Oh sorry, Satya, Treta, Dwapara, Kali Yuga. Now the pendulum swings back. It doesn't go like this to Satya Yuga. There is a sudden jump in human consciousness from dark ages to enlightened age won't happen. I would say it will reverse. There's a more and more understanding of human life, more and more respect for nature, more and more understanding about the environment, and more intellectual achievements. This I would say is a gradual movement from dark ages to the present.
Is it because we are almost at the brink of destruction of people?
Yeah. We have come to
Almost, we are just one button press.
Yeah, we have come to a stage of the peak of dark ages. Now we have started reversing. Okay, we have destroyed every forest and environment, everything. Now we understand that is destroying us. So we have better understanding of interrelatedness of nature. So from that perspective, I am saying human beings are gradually coming out of the dark ages into an age of 50% wisdom. Wisdom 50% Dwapara Yuga. We have not fully entered that, but I am saying the movement is towards that.
Quantum jump ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ?
Quantum jump ಆಗಲ್ಲ. It's a okay. The question is at individual level or universal level? At individual level, how quantum jump happens? Given right temperature and pressure, the cooker will whistle. So the temperature and pressure is required. You are getting an opportunity every day. You are getting opportunity every day for quantum jump. So whether you are taking that quantum jump or you are going on a bike, I don't know. Sakshi Bhava. What is the question? What is Sakshi Bhuta? Sakshiyata? That is the question. See, the mind is nothing but thoughts. Manasu and thoughts. Right? Mind goes behind thoughts. Okay. So my thoughts keep on changing, continuously changing. Is there something which is not changing behind these thoughts? If everything is changing, then you are a different person every moment. But there is something unchanging behind these thoughts, something which doesn't change. That is the Sakshi or consciousness, which knows that these thoughts are changing. That's your real nature, the Sakshi. The mind is not your nature. Mind keeps on changing. That's why in meditation we witness the thoughts, Sakshi. So thoughts come and go, but we witness, because that is our nature. Did you get the answer? Yes or no? Artha agilla. So she is asking the question of witness. What is witness? So when the wheel rotates, chakra, wheel rotates, there is an axle which doesn't rotate, right? The wheel doesn't, chakra ide. There is a wheel, axle, mullu irutade. Idu tirugta irutade, but mullu tirugala. Alva? The axle, wheel is there, but axle will not change. If axle also rotates, what will happen? The wheel will go like this, right? ಆ ಮುಳ್ಳು ಮತ್ತೆ ಮುಳ್ಳು ತಿರುಗಿ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಚಕ್ರನು ಬಿದ್ದೋಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತದೆ, ರೈಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಸೊ ನಮ್ಮೊಳಗೆ ಪ್ರತಿ ಕ್ಷಣ ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಎವ್ರಿ ಮೂಮೆಂಟ್ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಇನ್ ಅಸ್. ದಿ ಥಾಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಚೇಂಜಿಂಗ್, ಮೈಂಡ್ ಈಸ್ ಚೇಂಜಿಂಗ್, ಬಾಡಿ ಈಸ್ ಚೇಂಜಿಂಗ್, ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್ ಚೇಂಜಿಂಗ್. ದೇರ್ ಮಸ್ಟ್ ಬಿ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಚೇಂಜಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ಯು. ಅದರ್ಸ್ ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ವಿಲ್ ಚೇಂಜ್, ನೋ, ರೈಟ್? ದಟ್ ಅನ್ಚೇಂಜಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ಯು is called Sakshi. Okay, how is it called? How it's unchanging in you is, in waking state you have some thoughts, in dream state you have thoughts, deep sleep there's no thought, right? But still you are there, the Sakshi is there. Because Sakshi is there, all these changes are happening. That unchanging one is called you. That's called Atma.
Sakshi and Prana. Sakshi and Prana.
Sakshi and Prana are different. Sakshi is consciousness, Prana is the energy, motion.
But Sakshi does not have time.
Sakshi?
Does not have time.
Sakshi is beyond time. Mind is in time. Sakshi is eternally witnessing.
Does not matter that it is 5,000 years or 3,000 years.
Sakshi is beyond time.
Does not recognize time.
No, it recognizes time, but it is beyond time. Something which is beyond time only can recognize time. Right? Okay? We close for the day. Any more questions? Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let there be peace.
Let there be peace
Throughout the universe.
throughout the universe.
Let all living beings,
Let all living beings
land,
in land,
sea,
sea,
forest,
forest,
and sky
and sky
have peace.
have peace.
Lokaha samastaha
Lokaha samastaha
sukhino bhavantu.
sukhino bhavantu.
Lokaha samastaha
Lokaha samastaha
sukhino bhavantu.
sukhino bhavantu.
Lokaha samastaha
Lokaha samastaha
sukhino bhavantu.
sukhino bhavantu.
Harihi Om.
Harihi Om.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Harihi Om.
Harihi Om.
In next class, we will talk about Karma Yoga of the remaining 2 slokas of Sri Ramana Maharshi's teaching. After that, we will take Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga.